السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. صل على محمد وآل محمد. أما بعد فأوصيكم بتقوى الله فإنه حبل متين وعروة وثقى. صلوات. صل على محمد. Dear brothers and sisters in Iman, first of all I advise myself for taqwa, parhezgari and piety, and then I advise all of you for the same. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase His tawfiqat for all of us, where we can keep improving ourselves and remain in the spirit and do what we are supposed to do. Today is the last day of the month of Ramadan. Many of us, including our scholars, were anticipating that we will have this month for 29 days, and we were anticipating that on this day, on Friday, we will be celebrating the Eid. And therefore, we had sent you an early or an advance announcement to prepare for this day as an Eid. But things didn't turn out as we had anticipated. Alaykum salam wa rahmatullah. If you remember in the beginning, I think in the beginning of month of Ramadan, Shaykh Rizwan Arastu had given a very thoughtful khutbah here in front of you. And he had mentioned this point very eloquently and very nicely, that many of us, we get confused in the new moon and in the crescent moon. And we think that the birth of new moon or this new moon is the one that which determines the beginning of the month or the end of the month, and then or the meaning the month of Ramadan or the month of Shawwal. While reality is that it's not the new moon or it's not the birth of the new moon, which of course is very easy to determine, particularly with the technology and with the astronomy and with all the information and the data which we have. It's not difficult to determine the birth of a new moon. It's very easy. But what Islam wants from us is that it's not that new moon or birth of a moon. It's a hilal, it's a crescent. It's a moon old enough where you can see it with naked eye. And that is a different thing than a new moon. So when it comes to be able to see the moon with naked eye, it depends on so many things. It's not only one factor, there are many factors, and I don't want to repeat all that which Shaykh Rizwan had mentioned in his khutbah. We will make that khutbah available inshallah as a video clip to the community, and some other ulama right now are working on some other presentations. I just spoke with Maulana Sayyid Muhammad Rizvi, who is actually the head of this moon sighting committee for this council of ulama, Shia ulama in North America. And in my understanding, he is the one who has done work on this topic or in this issue more than any other alim in this whole continent. He is one of our colleagues. It's very difficult to praise your colleague or to acknowledge that someone knows better than you, particularly among us, among Maulvis or Maulanas or ulama. We don't have a habit of accepting even our own teachers sometime that they know better than us. But he is our contemporary, he is our colleague. But the truth of the matter is that he has been involved with research from the very early stage when he came in to serve in this country, in Canada or America, almost about 35 years ago. And right now, he is the only one who is regularly in contact with the offices of our Maraji-e-Taqleed, mainly with the office of Ayatollah al-Uzma Sayyid Sistani in Najaf, but then with the offices of other Maraji as well, and he remains on top of that. And he remains always, because at the end of the day he has to decide whether it is the Ramadan or it is not Ramadan, whether it is Eid or it's not Eid. And don't think that ulama take this issue very lightly. Yes, when something happens of this nature, we receive so much criticism and so much complaints and ideas and meaning, yes, that's fine. But ulama don't take this issue very lightly. You know that, meaning if to decide that tomorrow, for example, there is Eid and no one should fast, you are talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are supposed to fast, and you are stopping them from the fast. You are responsible for that. And if you are asking them to do Eid, and if that is the day of fasting, you know it is haram to fast on the day when it is the day of Eid. So it's the issue of halal and haram. It's a very serious issue. And ulama do their utmost to engage in research, to look at the data. They are well versed with the data and astronomy and with all the information which is available by all these outlets. And the offices of Maraji are actually even more aware than people in field and people here and there. But sometimes these issues are so technical and so complicated that it's not easy to decide ahead of time, and it takes some time until the midnight. And we have been in Qom and Najaf that even during the whole night there was no decision made, and the next day in the morning the news comes and the fatwa comes from the office of Ayatollah al-Uzma that today people have to break their fast and they have to now go for the Eid, or they have to still continue fasting and there is no Eid. And then also it's not something very new that in one city, one Imam Barga or one center is doing Eid and other is, for example, fasting. We have seen it in Qom and we have seen it in Najaf. That one Marja Taqleed, for example, and his office and his followers are fasting, and the office and the followers of the other Marja Taqleed in the same city and in the same country are celebrating the Eid. And it was perfectly fine. It's not a big issue in Qom or Najaf or in those lands, because they are well versed with these masail, they have background with these masail. They know the issues involved, they appreciate the scholarship, they have faith in those Maraje Taqleed and their knowledge and their honesty and their hard work. And they know that we common people even don't know why do we do wuzu like this as we do. That is the whole amount of our knowledge. That if someone asks you, why do you do wuzu like this? What is your dalil? Why do you wash your face, for example, 2 times? Or why do you do masa like this? Do you have any reason? Do you have any reference? You refer to your Marja Taqleed and his fatwa. How do you calculate your khums and zakat? How do you pray? How do you do hajj? How do you do all of your a'mal in every other mas'ala? You have faith in Marja Taqleed and you follow him, but when it comes to the moon of Eid, then I know more than my Marja Taqleed. Then I am the expert. So, if you are following him in all those other issues, whenever you have a question, whenever you have a fiqh issue, you know where to refer. And you go back to the Marja Taqleed and look at his Risala, or you ask him and then he tells you, and then you just do what he tells you. If you are an ordinary man, of course you are going to listen to his fatwa. You are not going to engage in argument with him, and you are not going to ask him that, sir, give me your references, and no, you sit and then talk to me and convince me. But yes, if you are a man of knowledge, and if you can carry on the discussion, and if you know the basics of principles of jurisprudence, then yes, you can talk to him and you can ask him his references, and they don't mind giving you their references and talk to you if you are able to understand those things. Jurisprudence is a specialized field. So my point is, I will talk a little bit more about that when the presentations are prepared and ready by tomorrow, inshallah, in the Eid. But for time being, I just wanted to tell you that it's not meaning that big an issue as sometimes we think. Salatul Eid is also like any other prayer. And how much we are worried about other prayers. How much really we are so much concerned about our other prayers that this one prayer in 1 year becomes the most important prayer. It is another prayer, and it is perfectly fine that if one person in the family is following this Marja Taqleed and they are fasting, and the other person in the same family who is following the other Marja Taqleed, they are following their Marja Taqleed and they are celebrating the Eid. This concept of celebration of Eid is also, I have mentioned many times, this has developed much later and it has become a holiday. It was never a holiday. People were used to, as they were used to come and do the Friday prayer and go back to the work, they were used to do the same thing for Eid. It was not something where you have to bring those, for example, the rides and ponies, and meaning have the bazaar and the stall and that bhajia and that pakoda and sevaiya and jalebiya. These are all the things which we have added to it later on. Eid was 2 rakat namaz with 2 khutbas, and that was it. Pay zakatul fitra and just go back to your normal life. But since we have made it a holiday and we have so much things which we have attached with it, now it becomes a very big issue. But if we keep it the way as it was, then my brothers and sisters, it's not a big issue. There are times when it is easy to predict it, easy to see the moon, it's very easily visible, so we don't have these problems. And it happens most of the time. But then there are times when it is on the edge. And there are so many other factors which prevent the visibility of the moon. And then Maraje Taqleed, all of them, they are the experts of their field, and they have their own method of reaching to the conclusion or deducting a fatwa or a verdict, and they are not consensus builders, they are not politicians, that in order to have the unity in the community, let me abandon my own research and my own honest opinion which I have developed based on Quran and Sunnah and the teachings of Ahlul Bayt, and abandon that and go with the fatwa of this one to keep unity in the community. They don't do like that. You have heard these verdicts of Supreme Court, for example, and you have the descending what you call the opinions, descending opinions from the Supreme Court judges. They are all equally qualified judges. They are all educated and experienced individuals, and on merits and criteria they come to that high position. But when it comes, they listen the same case, they listen the same evidence, they listen everything sitting together on bench, but when they decide, so they don't just decide on the popular opinion or just to make the one opinion and let me abandon my own opinion and go with his opinion. By the way, for a marja taqleed, it is not permissible to abandon his own honest research and his own conclusion of his own research and fatwa and just go and follow the other one. Then he is not marja taqleed. So this is issue of halal and haram. So he has to stick with his own opinion. But Maraje Taqleed, they don't hold grudges against one another. We have seen in Qom and Najaf that one Marja Taqleed is fasting and other is doing the Eid, but they are not blaming each other. They are not pointing fingers to each other. They are not doing any negative propaganda against each other. They know this is a fiqhi issue, this is a technical issue. So he thinks this is the month of Ramadan and he thinks this is the month of Shawwal. Both of them have reasons, both of them, they have proofs of their own, that method of usul, whatever they have. So problem is when it comes in field, when we start pointing fingers to each other, when we start blaming each other, when we start jumping on each other, that why this masjid and why that masjid and why this alim and why that alim. Believe me that all these senior ulama, they, even if you think that they are not very learned, but they are 1,000 times more knowledgeable than any common man or any ordinary man when it comes to the religion. And they are fully aware of the challenge. They have tried their best, they are trying their best, particularly Ayatollah Sistani, for example, and Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, both of them, they have invested enormous amount of funds in these facilities, these what you call the system and the astronomical, those sites and the experts. They hired the most knowledgeable people in these fields, not the ulama, but the astronomers, the experts, and they provided them the cutting edge. For example, all this what you call this the telescopes or meaning different, whatever they use, the facilities. So, they established these facilities. So, it is not that they are taking it light, or it is not that they have not invested their time or their funds into this. They have done everything, they are doing everything, but there are some times where we have to face this issue. When we are faced with this challenge, then we need to appreciate those great scholars and their services who have experience of more than 70 years in the field, and they have given us everything else, and we are following them in everything, but when it comes to the moon, then we know more than our marja taqleed. When it comes to Eid, when it comes to the fasting, then I have more and better understanding than my marja taqleed. So, the conclusion is, right now in this year, for example, whatever I know, I am answering questions from last night from 8 o'clock. We had started 1 week ago, but I am working on this around the clock from last 8 in evening until 8 in morning. The whole night until 8 o'clock, I was receiving questions, I was receiving messages, emails, texts, calls, and I was explaining. And among us, we 10, 12 ulama in North America, we were always kind of like online. So, right now the situation is that for the followers of Ayatollah Sistani, there is no doubt, their statement has come, and this statement is from the office of Sayyid Sistani, which explains how they have divided this North America into 2 zones, and Maulana Sayyid Muhammad Rizvi is working on this presentation, which I think inshallah we will receive it by tonight sometime, that where he explains all his references, his bases, that how, meaning they have divided according to the verdict and according to the standards given by the office of Sayyid Sistani, this North America into 2 zones. So, it is an authentic statement, it is an authentic announcement from the office of Sayyid Sistani. I am a follower of Ayatollah Nasir Makarim Shirazi, and I know according to his standards that today I am supposed to fast and I am not supposed to have Eid. When it comes to Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, then also his only representative in United States of America is Ayatollah Bahraini, that who is the chief alim of IEC Potomac in Maryland. I spoke with him. We have the announcement by him from his office, from his center, IEC Maryland, where he explains that according to his verdict and whatever the standard he has from Sayyid Khamenei, so he has declared the Eid for tomorrow. So the IEC Potomac, which is run under the representative and the wakil, and not just any wakil who collects homes, meaning the formal representative of Sayyid Khamenei is doing Eid tomorrow. Same in the New York, there are 2 centers which are directly, their alims are directly appointed by Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei and his office. There are only 2 centers. One is in Maryland, one is in New York City, the Markaz Imam Ali. So, both centers are doing their Eid tomorrow. But there are some ulama that who are followers of Sayyid Ali Khamenei, and they reach to this conclusion that for the followers of Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, for example, today is Eid. So, they are responsible for their opinion, and if they reach to that opinion, we respect that. We should not object and let them do their Eid prayer, as they are responsible ulama and they have reached to that conclusion and they follow Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, and they have also maybe some reasons for that. So, we need to develop that kind of understanding that these are kind of issues where a common individual, an ordinary individual cannot use his liking or disliking. We totally depend, even we who have spent our lives in Islamic studies, we even depend on marja taqleed or some of our seniors who have more knowledge, who have more expertise in this area, and we have no problem whatsoever. So if we are following them and we are happy with that, why are not you happy with that? So we need to develop that kind of understanding and try to understand the religion instead of just trying to decide at our own. And this is just a brief explanation. I will give more references and we will give the formal presentation inshallah later. But I thought, because many people have this question and many people are worrying, so we should clear that. No objection on others. Again, there are several maraji. Ayatollah Bashir Najafi, for example, in Najaf, he has his followers and he has his own way of, for example, he has his own method of deducting these rules, and he has his fatawa which are little different than many of these other maraji. So Ayatollah Wahid Khurasani has his view. Ayatollah Sistani, Ayatollah Khamenei, Ayatollah Makarim Shirazi. So if you are a follower, then just follow your marja taqleed as you are following him in wuzu and ghusl, as you are following him in your prayer and in your hajj and in your homes and in your every other halal and haram. So this masala of Eid also you have to follow him, and he is responsible for that. So we should just try to appreciate that. Thank you very much, and may Allah bless you. Recite a salawat. إن أحسن الحديث وأبلغ الموعظة كتاب الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي بن أبي طالب. صل على محمد وعلى سيدة نساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء. وعلى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. وعلى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان وعلى آبائه الكرام واتصل الليالي والأيام.
أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى توبوا إلى الله توبة نصوحا عسى ربكم أن يكفر عن سيئاتكم ويدخلكم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار وقال الله تبارك وتعالى إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله